I want to first thank several in the BI organization, Brian Payne, Doctors Laura Batista, I'm not sure she's here, and Enrique Mandaka, for giving us some guidance and a little bit of a floor plan on how to even approach this thing. It seems like a bit of a mountain to climb when all of a sudden you kind of take on a project you don't even have the first clue on what to do. But under several rocks there can be a diamond, and I'll show you a little bit of the uniqueness in this project. We started, basically this is the kind of the areas I want to go over. Some of the work that had previously been completed by the Indiana Board of Animal Health has really been that diamond for us, and I'll show you that in just a minute. It's still too early into the project to really know how cohesive this group's going to be, and I'll show you a timeline. But what has been probably the most exciting part of this whole project has been the cooperation of the community. Purdue University stepped forward, Indiana Board of Animal Health has stepped forward, all the veterinarians that work in the area. They kind of, after the first two meetings, they kind of gotten behind this thing, and it's just really starting to move ahead. To give you an idea of what we're going to try to accomplish, Northwest Indiana includes the region, as we call it. There's not too many pigs up there unless it's a pot-bellied pig or a backyard pig of some sort. And what you see in these diamonds are the main sites, swine-producing sites. We've left the dairy off. We've left all the other poultry off of this map. And we're going to focus predominantly here, and I'll tell you why we're going to leave this area off in just a minute. This kind of gives you an idea. We got the state line down the west, and then we come across from a major highway, and then another major highway, and of course Lake Michigan. There are some confinement units up in this area, but they tend to be pretty small or a finishing site. So if we zero down a little bit, this was kind of one of our first meetings and maps that were provided by the Indiana Board of Animal Health. And we kind of got this area focused in mind. And we have a little bit of a geographic barrier here that a lot of units have not jumped across this lake to be built yet. There is a few, but they're pretty scattered. So if mapping is nearly a third of the activity to get the project started, we found the diamond in the rough because the mapping was not complete, but it was far more than I had expected it to be. Animal movement is another area that we've discussed quite a bit as a group. And the Indiana Board of Animal Health, of course, as a veterinarian, you have to have a health certificate or an inspection if you cross the state line, or permits to bring pigs into the state of Indiana. They can track all of that. They can give us all that information if we need it. I think we're way too early in the project to even ask for it. But we as local veterinarians can put in intrastate animal movement if we think that that's necessary as we move forward in this project. The Indiana Board of Animal Health's mapping capabilities will allow them to capture that information if we give it to them. I think that's kind of unique. Currently, the project is working on characterization of the sites, and of course some of this is going to be typing of that site. Has it changed from the original IDEM index or number that was given to it? Maybe it's a nursery site now instead of a sow site and so forth. This summer's activities are going to include the PERS, capturing the PERS information, any past information that we may have on sequences and so forth, and then going forward, we're going to be sequencing any viruses that we can find. And again, PAD-RAP activity with the help of the BI interns and some of the other veterinarians. I think another unique aspect has been 3 individuals from Purdue University. Dr. Darrell Ragland represents the veterinary school. Dr. Roman and Steve represent the diagnostic lab. They've been to nearly all the meetings and have given us some pretty good insight, especially in the writing of grants and so forth. So they've been a big help, and they see this as a plus not only for themselves at the diagnostic lab, but for animal agriculture in Indiana. By the way, the diagnostic lab at Purdue really comes under the agricultural department of animal science and so forth. So it is associated with the veterinary school, but the leadership comes through a little different angle. Moving forward this summer, we've already completed step 1, and I think all the practitioners are on board. We're now starting to develop the communication with key producers in this geographic area. Funding, this is going to be an ongoing project. I think that's a definite limitation to the project of not having some seed money to get started. The cooperation of the veterinary school, the D-Lab, and Indiana Board of Animal Health has been amazing. Now we're working on community support. Some of the other species, like the dairies, before, I think, 2000, we may have had 200 dairy cows. Today we may have 65,000 in these 2 counties. So we've got a big area there of support that I think we can tap into. Now, the local coordinator needs a lot of help. So, Scott, you may have to come down and help. Communication. I think this is the key. For myself in this project, it's been very rewarding. But as we move this project forward, I think what I see is if producers get an appreciation for the fact that we're not going to tell them how to control PRRS, we just want to be there to support. Find out what they have first, then let's move forward from there. So we're going to try to capture a lot of the coordination through sharing of information. And today's meeting, to me, is very exciting because I think we need to learn what's working for others, like was said previously, what's maybe not working, and then try to implement that kind of information as well. We're in the process of moving forward with consent forms and so forth. We just started that activity. This is another one of those little diamonds, and we don't know if it's going to be a big one or not, but if right now, we have it set up through Purdue University that if we send the serum and so forth into Purdue, the results automatically get linked to the Indiana Board of Animal Health. And so the map will automatically change as the results come in. So I'm kind of excited about that. We want to expand that to see if other labs that we might be using can also do the same thing. I don't have an idea how this works. I just know that it's there and that we should be able to use it. This is just a rough timeline on what we've done so far. Our first meeting was in August last year, and it was one of those feeler type meetings. You know, we had producers come in, veterinarians all attended. We talked about this project, and that's when the veterinarian part of the group decided to go ahead and have some additional meetings and kind of line out the action plan. What steps were we going to take? The very first meeting, we didn't get a lot accomplished, except we got to know each other, and we have a single point, a bullseye that we're trying to shoot for. So then having some additional meetings really helped us. The grant activity, this summer's activity, and then this fall, we want to have another group meeting that's going to be able to start sharing some of the information that we have. Part of the information sharing is a website that our local BI representative, Bill Knock, has graciously supported financially so that we can communicate and we can upload the maps, and this presentation will be on that website as well. So I think The excitement of the cooperation is what really motivated me initially. The community support that's starting to come out is also quite interesting and really rewarding. Communications I see as a huge part of this moving forward. And we need to empower the producers with the fact that we want to work with their local veterinarian. And if they're not a part of the group, they need to be a part of the group in developing the plans that they need to help control PRRS. So consent forms, acceptance, this is all what I've mentioned already. I think one of the challenges is the unknown. You go into one of these projects, you start to climb the mountain, you're taking one step at a time, but you don't know what's around the next bend. And we've already been surprised on a couple of things. The small sites and how they influence biosecurity. I'm talking about the exhibition pigs, the show pigs. We're not sure yet. But what I found fascinating in the very first meeting that we had in August was that the veterinarians were not concerned about the exhibition pigs. Their focus was on the truck that run up and down the road. And if you remember, I can go back to the first slide, or one of the first ones, show you a map of this area. I-65 runs from Chicago clear down to the Gulf someplace, and there's a lot of traffic on this highway. There's a lot of traffic, livestock traffic, going towards one packing plant. It's about 20 miles away from this site, and a second packing plant that's probably 25 miles away. So that's why the finishing sites have been built. We've got a corn base, we've got a landmass base. Jasper County is the fourth largest county in the state of Indiana. So the land was there, and the corn was there, and that's what attracted the dairy. It's also attracted the finishing sites. But again, we're not densely populated until you get down here, and we do share a lot of pathogens in that area.